Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, we hope you enjoyed the lunch. I would like to announce that our afternoon session is about to start. Our topic of this panel is Germany's industrial perception of Turkey. Our moderator is Mayer-Rueth, correspondent from ARD, Turkey. And the panelists are Gökçen Atalayer, General Manager of Dachser from Turkey, Martin Augenschein, CEO of TÜV Süd from Turkey, Arif Günyar, General Manager of Enercon from Turkey, and Dr. Markus Slevogt, President of German-Turkish Chamber of Industry and Commerce, independent board member of Amarkon-Group from Turkey. Thank you so much. Mr. Rueth, the stage is yours now.
So, as you can see, one of our panelists is still not here. We'll give him some time to show up. Now he's coming. Of course we have to wait for him. He's an important person for this panel. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, Hoş geldiniz, a warm welcome to everybody in the audience. Guten Tag and iyi günler. Thank you for being interested in this panel with the title Perspectives of the German Industry in Turkey. The panel was organized by the German-Turkish Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and my name is Mayer-Rueth, and I'm a correspondent for the German TV channel ARD, and I'm your host for this panel. There are almost 7,000 German companies with an office or a factory here in Turkey. Those companies have invested quite some money, and the interest to invest more is still big. We are lucky to have an expert on the panel regarding the Turkish-German relationship on an economic level. Dr. Markus Slevogt works as a successful businessman since 17 years in Turkey and is the president of the chamber. Markus, which is there on the left, could you elaborate a little bit for us with some numbers? How important for the German industry is it to be engaged here in Turkey?
Oliver, thank you very much for this very kind introduction. Obviously, and I think everyone in the audience is aware of the fact that Turkey and Germany have a very intense business relationship. You referred already to the 7,000 companies that we have here of German shareholding in Turkey, and these companies are employing approximately 150,000 people here in the country. So it is a substantial contribution to the Turkish economy, also by employment. Of course, in terms of trade, it is significant on both sides. Both export and import. Germany represents as a trade partner 10% of the total trade that these two countries, or that Turkey has with the entire world. And so it is extremely significant. We have on the import side this year, we have unfortunately a little bit of a decline between Germany and Turkey. On the export side, it is from Turkey to Germany relatively stable. For the last 5 years, the total amount of trade, bilateral trade, was always between $35 and $37 billion. nowadays, this year so far, as said, we are in bilateral trade at around 24 billion US dollars, and we believe that we can finish the year by around 32 billion, hopefully. As you can see, a little bit of a decline, but nevertheless, that is also due to the fact that Turkey is broadening its trading with other countries outside the European Union as well. So we have here a bit of broader distribution of trade globally. So as said, a very intense and very live business relationship.
Thank you, Markus. I guess some of you know, and actually all the panelists know, for Germany the investment in Turkey was in the last decades quite a success story, and success doesn't come by itself, it needs hard work to be successful. On the panel we have 3 more representatives of this success story, and they all want the success to continue. So the question is, what are the ingredients of this story, and what are the challenges for the German-Turkish cooperation in the future? This is what we are going to discuss in the next 60 minutes, and to give the whole discussion some order, I would like to separate it into 3 chapters. The chapter 1 will be general potential of Turkey for the German industry. Chapter 2 will be, in the recent weeks and months, quite a lot discussed issue for the German and EU-Turkish relationship. It's the extension of the EU-Turkey Customs Union, and Chapter 3 is, the title of Chapter 3 is Turkey, a new hotspot for innovations. But before we start, of course, I would like to introduce the other panelists. Next to me, ladies first, Gökçen Atalayer. She has completed her education and bachelor degree in maritime business and administration. She has been in the logistics sector for 20 years and is working in Dachser, Turkey as managing director since 2013 with the responsibility of Dachser Turkey branch offices, all transport modes, inbound and outbound traffics, financial positions and network connections. Next to her sits Martin Augenschein. He works for TÜV Süd and he's 37 years old. I'm a little bit envious. He works since 2000 for TÜV Süd. Since 2005 he has experience with the Turkish market. From 2005 until 2009 he was the head of project management of TÜV Türk, which means being responsible for the project management of the setup of all 189 TÜV stations. And between 2009 and 2014 he commuted between Munich and Istanbul to work on business development for Turkey, and since 2014 he's back to Turkey as CEO of TÜV Süd DOS. And next to Martin, Arif Günyar from Enercon. Arif graduated from the Faculty of Economics of Essen University. Essen is a city in Germany, and completed his diploma degree in business administration at the University of Applied Sciences of Düsseldorf. Since 2007, he works for the German wind energy turbine manufacturer Enercon. Since 2015, he has been serving as a managing director of Enercon Turkey, and in addition to his responsibility for the sales region, Central Asia and Middle East. So let's come to the chapter 1. Wherever you travel nowadays through Europe, if it is Turkey or Germany, from time to time you see the yellow truck with the name Dachser, Intelligent Logistics. Modern internet-based trade is not possible without companies like Dachser. You order on Amazon or any other e-commerce webpage, and 2 days later the product is already delivered. For you, Gökçe Hanım, what are the advantages of an investment in Turkey for a logistics company like Dachser?
Thank you very much. With the large and globally continuous economy of Dachser of Turkey, especially the public and private infrastructure investments are one of the main potential of Turkey not only just for logistic industry, but also for every industry in the world. And when we consider the population of Turkey, which is around 80 million, and half of this population is under the age of 31, Turkey is a huge market for logistic companies. And when we look at the advantageous geographical location of Turkey, which is as a heart of main cross trades in the world trade, which provides to reach Europe, Middle East, and North Africa, and also Central Asia. Turkey is a big hub for logistic companies. And the advantages of this geographical location, it is also very important that logistic companies can easily give various modes of transportation services to from Turkey, like sea transportation, air transportation, also railway and road transportation, which is also a big potential for Dachser. And according to me, also the new airport of Istanbul, which will be ready to operate in October 2018, will also increase the growth of the economy and also the huge potential of Turkey positively. This is why Dachser is really keen on developing and improving its investment in Turkey as a German logistic company.
So I guess you consider all this investment in infrastructure from the government as a good investment for the future, yes?
Regarding third airport?
Yeah, the airport and all the streets. I mean, it's amazing how many streets were built.
Especially the infrastructure investment is an interesting issue for European Union countries. And this is one of the main targets for customs union, because European Union countries are interested in a lot with the big share of this public and also private infrastructure investments. And also, of course, government is supporting this.
It sounds comprehensible. Thank you so much. Arif, Enercon. I guess I have to, this is my like a personal experience. I have to confess something. I have a passion for kite surfing. So you know this surfing with the parachute. So from time to time I go to Kilyos and I have there some Turkish friends and we do kite surfing. But unfortunately in Kilyos the wind is not so stable and everybody tells me you have to go to Çeşme. This is actually the place where you have the best wind in Turkey. And I guess you are somebody who is an expert when it comes to wind in Turkey. So please explain us a little bit, how is the potential for a company like Enercon in Turkey?
Actually, it's nice to hear that you are kite surfing. Also, I'm trying to to be active in windsurfing as well. And I can recommend to go to Alaçatı, and it's the best place where you can go for surfing, actually. But thank you. On the other side, I can see that our former energy minister is also here, and I think he's also Mr. Hilmi Bey, and we got inauguration in 2008 in Manisa. I think he's also well experienced where the best windy areas in Turkey are. So hello again, and thank you very much for inviting, and I'm very happy to be here. So just because beside of this physical or geographical potential of Turkey, because of our business, I mean, please forgive me, I'm coming from wind energy, and I will mainly talk about the wind energy or renewable energy in Turkey and the potential of that. So just the economical potential of Turkey was realized by Enercon really in good 20 years ago. So I'm really happy with it that our company has realized that. So because the first wind farm in Turkey was installed and commissioned by Enercon in 1997, 1998. And during that time, Enercon has realized a big potential in Turkey and established a service company, which was the first company in the sector, in the wind energy sector, and accordingly, we have started with the projection of for more investment in Turkey in the sector of production, especially. So we have established with the production facility or rotor blade factory in Turkey in 2001 and 2002, and during this time, the blades which were produced in Turkey was 100% for export market. And accordingly, as we got the global financial crisis in 2008, 2009, Enercon has decided to bring more investment to Turkey and established a concrete tower factory in Turkey, in Izmir area as well. I mean, generally, Turkey has a big potential due to geographical location, as we have mentioned, young and growing population. And in terms of energy demand and growing consumption, usage of the renewable energy resources is highly essential for Turkish economy. And there are a lot of key points, as example, independency, low electricity cost, environmental advantages like climate topics, reduction of carbon emissions. And the biggest issue is the employment, because with renewable energies, you have the opportunity to bring the electricity, to bring the power plants to the less developed regions. And because of local production, even the logistics and tourism, R&D, construction and engineering is increasing in the same level. So it is not only that you have on the production of the electricity side your advantages, also even for the economy, there are a lot of advantages. Just give me an example from Germany. In Germany, only in wind energy sector, 150,000 people are working directly in wind energy sector. And in terms of maintenance, what we have to provide because of the expectation of our investors, also from the banks, so we are providing 15 years or longer periods maintenance services, which brings at the end a kind of long-term employment period, and it's also, which is also very, very important for the economy. And to use this potential, the government has been taking many positive actions since the adoption of the Renewable Energy Law in 2005. But the time is dynamic and the regulations are being revised. And for development of mid and long-term strategies, the private sector or Enercon needs sustainability and predictability, means a kind of a transition period to adapt ourselves for the updated regulations and for the future. Thank you.
Okay, I understand that you have as well some challenges. We are going to talk about it further on. Martin, actually when I hear TÜV, it always reminds me a little bit to my to the time when I was a student in university, and I had this second-hand car, and every other year I had to bring the car to the TÜV, and I was already anxious which kind of big lists the expert from the TÜV he will give me to fix afterwards. I mean, but I understand that you installed all these TÜV stations here as well, and you were teasing the students and the young people with the second-hand cars as well, but now your task changed a little bit and you are doing more services. Can you elaborate a little bit what you are doing actually right now?
Yes, thank you very much, Oliver. We are very happy actually about the success that we have achieved with the establishment of the periodical vehicle inspection system here in Turkey, together in partnership with the Ministry of Transport of Turkey and our Turkish local partners. And even more, we are happy also about the traffic safety impact that we have brought with this system. And that was actually, as you said before, my task from 2005 to 2009 to establish those stations, and we will also grow yes, the car park will also grow in this system. And now, as we were in line with this success of this inspection system, as to suit, we have decided also to bring further services to Turkey in the automotive sector. So it was my task then to analyze where can we bring further services that can support the automotive sector. And it was clear that the used car market, which is very big in Turkey actually, it's more than 3 million cars are changing ownership every year, that we have to bring also from our service portfolio that we have very well established in Turkey, in Germany, also some of those services to Turkey, to bring also transparency into the, more transparency into the used car market. So I established a new used car expertise for to suit that I provide to dealers. And next time when you maybe buy a used car, then you can check out whether you find a report of us for the used car also.
Well, let's see. I guess I have to discuss it with my son because he will be the next in our family who is going to buy a used car. Markus, I mean, you are talking to all kind of companies, German companies that have invested money here, and you have all this experience from those conversations. What do you think? What are the opportunities for German companies in general here in Turkey?
Well, I believe that everyone is aware of large German investments, and that particular in the automotive sector, in the automotive supply, you have seen very, very substantial German investments. And also now going forward with the development of the economy, as we already heard from Dachser, there is logistics as a major topic that German companies are interested in. Energy, that's why we have these companies and these sectors sitting here at the table. And now, of course, it is important that the next stages of investments are going to be taken. There is already a very interesting communication starting between Berlin and Istanbul and other cities, where exchange of know-how in the startup scene is happening, where Turkish internet investments and new distribution channel opportunities are used. And these types of investments are very relevant. Of course, still also other areas like financial services, in particular insurance business is a very important business for German companies here in the market. It's a booming business, also with the growing population, with the growing demand for financial services, not only banking, but also particularly insurance businesses. So these are definitely very serious and important sectors that German companies are currently investing in.
Thank you, Markus. Let's talk a little bit, I mean, we spoke about the opportunities. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges as well. Gökçen, I guess, I mean, in Germany, in the last couple of years, until 2015, I was working there in Berlin for ARD in the Capital Studios, and I was covering as well the economy ministry. So everybody was talking about Industry 4.0. So I guess this could be, on the one hand, an opportunity, but on the other hand, a challenge as well for a company like Dachser.
Yeah, actually, the developments. Ready? Actually, the developments in the world of informatics and technology is being followed by logistic industry very closely. And developments in Industry 4.0, we believe that the importance of logistic companies will be higher in the market, because if the production level is increasing, it's very important to make the right product to reach buyer at the right time and with right conditions. And to make the best services logistic company, we need technology and also digitalization. And as Dachser, what we are doing is focus on Industry 4.1 mainly in our warehouses and also in our trucks, which the services will take longer with labor force. So with digitization of our system, we believe that we will give better service to our customers. And that's all, I think.
Thank you. Arif, when it comes to challenges, as you already started to explain a little bit, I remember after Fukushima, actually the green energy was pushed a lot from the German government, even more than before. And now we have the situation on windy days in Germany sometimes. The companies have to switch off the windmills because there's just too much wind. They produce too much electricity, and I guess those are conditions you would appreciate for Turkey as well, you dream about, to produce so many windmills. And the reason for this luxury were big-time subsidies in Germany for the green energy. So before Sigmar Gabriel became foreign minister, he was the economy minister in Germany, and he recently said that green energy has grown up and must be able to exist without this amount of subsidies. So is Turkey as well ready for a green energy market without subsidies?
Actually, it depends on from which view are you all saying that, or from the view of Germany. I mean, in Germany there are more than 50 gigawatts installed wind energy capacity. There are roughly or more than 40 gigawatts installed capacity in solar. So I think Germany is a leader and a pioneer in best of the renewable energy resources, or to usage of the energy resources. But I mean, just let's go back to 40 years ago. So the renewable energy sector started, let's say, the last 40 years, and all the sector, or all the industry in energy management, they just concerned about the production of the electricity due to renewable energy resources. And it was not really conventional resource, or it was not serious enough for all the energy sector. But now, with German, let's say, energy turnaround or Energiewende politics, it is the right way, because as you have already mentioned to Gökçen, with Industry 4.0, this is the same way, because now we are in the bridge or in the crossroad to that all the world is thinking about the usage of the electricity now. How can we use the electricity in the best way, in the efficient way? But in Turkey, I think we are still in the beginning phases. We are not so, I mean, we have the big potential, but we are not using all the potential in Turkey yet, because as you can see in wind energy, we have almost 7 gigawatts. And if you see in the website of Energy Ministry that Turkey has a geographical potential of 40 gigawatts at least. And so we are really far from the targets. And I think in Turkey we need such of the subsidies to have the jump to the industrializing of the sector at first. And that was the right way what we got at end of 2016 and 2017. Together with the license market, there was an idea to motivate or to push the industrialization of the renewable energy sector with YEKA, or means Renewable Energy Resources Zones. And we got 2 auctions in solar and in wind, with each 1,000 megawatt. And all the YEKAs got 3 obligations. The first one was the local production or manufacturing of the turbines or solar panels. The second column or obligation is the establishment and operating of the research and development center. And the third one is the realization of this YEKA projects, or of the 1,000 megawatt with the local produced turbines, equipments, whatever. So I think this step has to be done at first, and IECA is actually a very smart idea to promote and to motivate the industry, but it is just the one project, and it is not enough, because if you have a market or a live market, so you need the market. So it means the license market or a similar market has to be exist. That we have a competition in the market and the motivation to continue with the investment. And even the nature of the renewable energy is that the electricity should produce there where the electricity is demanded or needed. And it is also a good opportunity for small or middle-sized investors to produce their electricity, and it should be not held only by big holdings and companies. It should be held by also small and middle-sized investors. And beside of that, I think also we could see in the last weeks about the target of electrical cars in Turkey, or about the domestic produced cars. And I think this is the right way, especially with the electrical car, because as we have said, so the usage of the electricity is much more important than the production, as that you don't need to switch off the wind turbines if the wind is there. So just the usage is important. So that, and exactly for this problem, we as Enercon, we have also started with very smart solutions like power to gas, e-mobility, and also energy storage systems. So I think a lot of startup companies or a lot of companies are existing now who make a good job, I think. And I think this is the next future in 4 or 5 years, and I think Turkey is well prepared for that.
To summarize, you expect some more subsidies for your sector because it could help
it should
to
be
establish.
In parallel, it should be, because we are not in the same level as what we have in Germany. Mm-hmm. I mean, so
but there's the potential.
So, but there are big potential. I mean, the population of Germany is almost the same as in Turkey, and we have much more younger people as in Germany. So, means the consumption should be normally higher than in Germany. So I think the electricity demand will be also in the same level. But if we are investing in the right way, so I think, and if we have such of the subsidies, like that the strategy of the energy ministry should be in the renewable energy sector, I think this is the right way, that I see the good future for Turkey there.
Thank you, Arif. Martin, if I'm right, if I got you right, for your project, the investment conditions are good. Do you expect any regulations from the government for the second-hand car market in the near future?
Yes, Oliver, as you correctly said, I mean, the market is very good, and the used car market is growing, and it's an important market actually in the whole automotive world in Turkey. We can also see a huge increase on online business in the automotive market, especially in the used car market. And of course, an online business in the used car market requires much more transparency, because you are buying the car actually without seeing the car. So this will increase more standardization. This will increase also companies to show more transparency. And as we have also, as the newspapers and also the televisions all reported in the last month, the government is planning to publish a law which is regulating the used car process. It is already in preparation, and I think it will take in a short time. I think it will also be published.
Thank you, Martin. As you all know, on the 15th of July of 2016, the Turkish people experienced a terrible attack on democracy, and a lot of people lost their fathers, brothers, sisters, children. Geçmiş olsun. Terror is a worldwide problem we have to deal with, each and every state according to his specific challenges, and briefly afterwards the Turkish government, briefly after the coup attempt, the Turkish government installed a state of emergency which continues still today, and this is, I guess, something that is discussed among international companies. The big Turkish association TÜSİAD demands an end of the state of emergency. So what is the Chamber's opinion, Markus, when it comes to this quite sensible issue, and why?
First, when referring to that particular moment, of course, I was here in Turkey when this all tragedy unfolded, and it was so far definitely the worst moment that I've seen in this country. I've been here for 18 years, and that I've seen a lot, from earthquakes to financial crises to different types of terror attacks, particularly 2003, be it on HSBC, on the synagogue, on the British consulate. So, and then of course also booming periods in this country, and definitely that was a very specific moment. We as a chamber organization at that time, 3 days after the events, we were in Ankara. We immediately visited our friends from TOBB, TOB, and we conveyed our condolences for what has happened, and we had immediately a very close connection with everyone that is with us on the same level in terms of chamber organization. So we immediately knew that this was a very defining and very, very sad moment in Turkish history. So with respect, what has been then installed, a very understandable constellation and necessity for managing this very difficult period of time. We have to acknowledge that now 1.5 years have passed, and we living here have of course a different view than people living outside the country and observing Turkey only with a limited degree of information. So nevertheless, after 1.5 years, I see unfortunately some German investors, some German companies that have already serious investments here in Turkey, that they are with their further investments that they wish to take in Turkey, a little bit hesitant, unfortunately, because they cannot perfectly judge the situation here, in the sense that they have all the pieces of information, as I already said, and that they want to have a little bit more of stability. And in their terms, a state of emergency is not necessarily a terminology that helps them to feel 100% comfortable. So I see moves of German companies that they are keeping certain investments that they want to do here locally in the country, and that would add to the already substantial investments in the market. And every year minimum for the last decades, German companies are investing minimum of €500 million, and in peak times, when there are also major corporate acquisitions, it can go up to 2 to 3 billion investments per annum. These companies are currently stepping a little bit on the brakes. That is not necessarily positive for the future FDI flow to the country. And for further taking advantage of this FDI flow that is on hold, we definitely can recommend that there should be soon an alternative solution to this state of emergency. Additionally, I see also activities of German major customers of German companies that are invested in Turkey, that are suppliers to the German industry. These customers and this German industry demands from their suppliers here in Turkey that they are delivering 3 to 4 months of stock to the respective production sites in Germany, because they want to have a little bit of an additional cushion should anything unexpected happen. So then, therefore, as a chamber, we highly recommend that an alternative solution or different grades of such a state of emergency should be found for the sake of attracting more foreign direct investments, and also reversing the trade flow to its normal patterns for certain areas and certain industries.
Thank you, Markus. Let's come to the chapter 2, the extension of the EU-Turkey customs union with Turkey, which is, as I said, quite an issue now for Turkey and the EU. The German Chancellor, Mrs. Merkel, doesn't like the idea at all to extend the customs union. Before the election in Germany in September, she said this is out of question for her. The reason why she was so tough regarding the subject is widely known. And as we all know, things could change in the political world pretty fast. So let's see how this discussion continues maybe in 2018. Again, Markus, because you are kind of an expert for this subject, you recently did an event together with other European chambers in favor of the extension. So what are the next steps to promote the idea of customs union 2.0?
So in principle, we have to understand from where this idea of the European Union, first of all, is coming. It's primarily a peace-creating institution. So it was founded after the Second World War and the devastating events of that time. And as any economists would confirm to you, is that trade and investments are very much contributing to the creation of peace. So the initial customs union that was created between the European Union and Turkey in 1996 was already a very, very important step towards a more integrated trade area that includes Turkey and brings Turkey much closer in economic terms to the European Union. And it also has substantially contributed to it. So the fruits of the success of the first version of the customs union we can see everywhere. Still, however, it was first of all a little bit asymmetric in favor of the European Union, but that happens from time to time if you have a larger trade partner trying to enter into such an agreement with a smaller trade partner. Nevertheless, it was, as I said, an enormous and very important catalyst to further enhance the trade between Turkey and the European Union, and as it happened, it also triggered further foreign direct investments in Turkey, also not only from European countries, but also Asian countries are very much understanding Turkey as the springboard into the European Union. So therefore, we see substantial investments are coming also from Asia to taking advantage of this. So now, after more than 20 years of existence of the current shape of the customs union, we see that more and more left and right non-tariff barriers are entering the scene again. And also as a chamber, we have seen that many of our Turkish and German company members are suffering from certain initiatives that were not meant to happen, non-tariff barriers that are an impediment to trade. We even, just recently, you mentioned it, we did this event with Nihat Zeybekçi. He supported this cooperation initiative of the bilateral chambers of European countries. It was not only our chamber as German-Turkish Chamber of Industry and Commerce. We had our French colleagues there, our Italian colleagues, our Dutch colleagues. So it was a very, very broad initiative of the European chambers to underline the importance of making sure that the existing version of the custom unions not only requires an update and that we get again rid of these unnecessary trade barriers, non-tariff barriers in particular, and as I said, our members are suffering from this on both sides, but that definitely we also have to reach the next stage, because the customs union of its current shape does not include all the relevant sectors, and among those what we have to have as sectors to be included should be agriculture, should be services, should be e-commerce, but also an arrangement of reciprocity where trade deals that, for example, the European Union is having with other trade blocs, and there was this TTIP negotiation that most of you, I believe, are aware of, that these negotiations are not only done by the European Union with other parties, but that any negotiation that is happening, done by any partner, will, on a reciprocal basis, will be relevant and also introduced to the respective partners of that customs union. So this customs union could also have a very, very relevant impact on Turkish economy. We would see once the major elements of this customs union 2.0, as I call it, are introduced, we could see an increase of Turkish GDP by 2.5% to 3%, and also by approximately 0.8% for the European Union. So both parties, it's really a win-win situation for both parties, and that is something that needs to be enhanced. We also need to give credit to the fact that the customs union is not a single bilateral element that could be part of political negotiations or political approaches on a bilateral basis. That is definitely the wrong approach for such a complex matter that the customs union represents, and therefore we highly recommend to continue with it, because the opposite direction, kind of falling back to a free trade zone between Turkey and the European Union, would mean that it would not only harm Turkish businesses doing their respective business, but it would also negatively affect German investments here in Turkey, because today the production supply chains, they are so closely interlinked that once you hit someone with these kinds of initiatives negatively, then you will, due to the large interaction and trade relationship that, for example, also Germany has, you would harm yourself.
Thank you, Markus. Unfortunately, time is short and we have to speed up a little bit. So I would like to ask the three of you, Gökçen and Arif and Martin, you are all somehow working for hidden champions, so to say, and please give short answers. What are the new, to have Turkey as a new hotspot for innovations, what do you think has to be done? How could it be encouraged in the country? Let's start with you, Gökçen.
Yeah, as I told you before, to give a good service to our customers, as logistic companies, what we need technology and also specialized employee for not only for our industry but also for other industries. It is very important to have a qualified labor force, and according to me, education system has to work together with, especially with private sector, to provide trainings to young labor force, and I believe that with this young labor force, we have not only just technical experienced employees, but also practical experienced employees, which is one of the main problems of employers in Turkey.
Thank you. Martin, where do you see opportunities for new innovations in Turkey?
I think if you look into the actual evolution of the world, I mean, the biggest innovative streams are at the moment, I mean, we have autonomous driving, we have artificial intelligence, augmented reality, blockchain. I mean, those are the things that really will drive or will disrupt our economy in the next 10 years very strongly. And I think the young generation of Turkey is very much technological interested and technology driven. You can see this on how they handle with mobile phones, how they have all the applications, etc. I mean, there's a really young technology driven generation. Turkey has a lot of chances to jump onto those fields that are not really already, let's say, occupied by the big countries who are still into the mechanical engineering, etc. So I think this is really a big chance for Turkey.
Thank you, Martin and Arif. I guess one of the biggest problems of your sector is the question how to store electricity. So what does Turkey need to be one of the front runners in this field, for example?
The mind. there has to be change. I mean, the usage of the electricity. I mean, as I have mentioned already, because of the storage system or the intelligent usage of the electricity or the energy. Of course, at first it's starting with the education, and that in the universities that we have such of the faculty regarding this issue, this topic. So I think it's still missing, or it's not in the level what we are wishing, because actually this topic with storage or well-educated people are still have their practice or training in the companies actually, and so I think especially in Turkey the education system is still a little bit too theoretically, and it could be implemented much more with the industry, as we know in Germany. So in past we got such of this discussion with Chamber of Commerce, how we can implement the education system with the industry in Turkey especially. It's a long way, but I think it is possible. And because of the storage system, as I said, at first we need to use the resources with highest efficiency at first. So I think we are not in that level that we have a high renewable energy resources in Turkey. So we have to increase the number of the production in Turkey at first, and a second step, in parallel, the usage of the electricity or the storage systems or the development of the smart cities, let's say, it will come automatically.
Thank you, Arif. Since we have to come to the end of this panel, I would like to request Markus to give a short remark regarding the Turkish-German economic future. I guess as the president of the chamber, he has quite an idea how the German-Turkish future could look like.
Of course, I am very positive about the German-Turkish business future. When I compare both countries, then there are many similarities. Similarity number one is that neither Turkey nor Germany have natural resources. Secondly, both countries are very well located in terms of logistics. And now it is time, as Germany and Turkey, they have to use their brains and their capacity, their intelligence capacity for making a living. And that is a great advantage. So we have seen places where definitely natural resources were available in abundance, but that has not necessarily contributed towards a high level of innovation and also a very creative environment. So, and Turkey very well in the last decades learned a lot from others and substantially contributed towards value creation by applying that knowledge. Now I believe, similar also like Germany, now it's time also for Turkey to let others learn from Turkey, so that Turkey is producing substantially own value added for the world markets, also as Germany does. So I believe that these two economies, due to the similarities, will work together and should work together as they're already doing it for the last 150 years, and based on a very, very deep friendship, including also all that happened in Gallipoli and at other occasions where that friendship and brotherhood has been proven. Now it's time to further intensify this cooperation and move hand in hand also to support Turkey in the creation of a substantial value-adding production and value-adding services. Thank you.
Dear panelists, thank you very much for sharing your ideas with us, and dear audience, thanks a lot for your attention. I wish you an interesting afternoon on the summit, and kolay gelsin. Thank you.
Let us kindly host Mr. Egemen Bağış, Co-President of Global Advisory Board of ICP, in the stage to present the plaques. Thanks to all. Thanks to all speakers. Thanks so much. Thank you.